Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-Go player. In this video, I'll be looking at the first game of the Ing Cup final. This is the 2024 Ing Cup between Ichiriki Ryo of Japan and Xie Ke of China. So it's been a while since a Japanese player has done so well in an international tournament, so this is special for me. It's a best of 5, and they're going to play 2 games in this batch. Ichiriki has the black stones. This knight's move, we used to play this move at R13 on the 3rd line. This move, when black pincers later, we'll see that happen in the game. It does make it easier for black to attack from the left side. Actually, my focus in this video is probably going to be more on the middle game. There's this huge fight that's going to happen in the center of the board. Okay, extending here and playing the attachment. This is a shape that we've had for a long time. Decades at least, but probably more like 100 years. The idea is that if black plays here, then just locally white can curl around on the 4th line. So maybe in this board position, white's going to play once here. But curling around, it makes a kind of a connected shape. Good shape for white. So black plays here. And white is one more move and white's going to be alive on the top side. So that's the idea here. So taking away some of black's territory. So when black plays this knight's move at O15, the low stone on the right side, if this stone were on the 4th line like this, then white would be able to push along the 4th line. So this would make it easier for white to be getting out. Whereas in the game, white doesn't really have any good forcing moves against that stone. So if white were to play here and black here, this group would be very heavy with no really good forcing moves towards the right side. So that's the whole meaning of this move on the 2nd line here. So that's how it's working. And white countered by playing here. So white sort of diving into the corner. If black had played a hane, then this would there would be a weakness at S14, and so it would be slightly awkward shape for black. So black just pushed through, and black has a very nice thick shape. For the time being, that white group is as good as alive. Black could make a ko, I guess. So if black plays something like this, that would be a ko. If we did some extreme stuff to strengthen black's position on the outside, maybe there would be some other moves, but it's not practical at this point of the game. So white presses at Q6, giving black a low position on the bottom side, and that reduces the power of black's wall. So it makes it more difficult for black to make use of that wall. This move here. So this move is taking away white's base. So if white answers that, then white ends up with a shape that is not alive, and white's going to be gote. So it means black will be able to attack from above. So that would be bad for white. Otherwise, if white had curled at the same point, white would have been able to make 2 eyes in most cases. So this move is taking away white's base, and white's next local move will be somewhere towards the center of the board. But instead, he switches to the left, the bottom side, that is. And this is supposed to be good for white. It's a very subtle difference, so I won't go into the variations at this point. And at this point, black played here. So this fight, starting from the lower side, is going to be the important fight of the game. In fact, with this huge thickness on the right and the strong position on the left too, white was supposed to attack immediately. So if white had played here, capping against a capping stone is something we do sometimes. It's been around since before AIs, and it works really well in a position like this, where white has a lot of thickness and wants to attack actively. So this was closer to optimal. This was a kind of a waiting move. It's very hard to say that this is a bad move. It's a big territorial move. So I'd say it's difficult to lose quickly with a move like this, and so I can't really fault it. but maybe not the optimal move when white was supposed to play a capping move here. So black got to save this group. And at this point, black's winning percentage did go up a little bit. And white saved the top side. So again, white didn't have a base on the top side. So white's local move is a move like this, which jumps out and leaves f18. It's more like an endgame move, but white could play it as the next local move. Okay, so black's pushing here, taking the profit. It actually was an idea for white to curl around first and then play here, simplifying the position. So pushing here was pretty big as far as territory is concerned. And black went all the way here. So this is a point where he could have been more cautious and played here, and then his group would have been okay. And he has taken some profit here in the center. So this would be an okay variation for black. He's maybe being a bit greedy, but also this kind of play puts a lot of pressure on white. So it's a strategy. And white attacks. So this attack is going to be important. My computer didn't like most of the moves played here, but it's a very subtle difference. I'll say this move is probably the one which is the disagreement that I found with my computer was most important. So it's bad shape, and it left some weaknesses in the white shape, while black's shape was getting better towards the bottom side. So this is a point where the shape move would have been to play here, and taking a key point to break up black's shape, and then taking the corner. So the value of this is that virtually white's connection at g8 is sente, threatening the wedge at f6. So white has a solid position on all sides and can continue attacking while taking territory in the center. So this would be a good variation for white. However, this was black's mistake. So this is where black sort of slided into the corner, and it's big as far as territory is concerned. It's also important that it gives black an eye there, and actually black's pretty close to having two eyes. So in this variation, black's actually, it's very difficult already for white to try to kill the black group. So this would be a good variation for black. So now black plays here, white immediately takes the corner, and now it's going to be tough. So black connected out. White's peep there at h4 was probably not the best move, but it's still looking like a winning variation for white. And white plays here. So he's taking away that eye and threatening to cut. If white had just played something on the outside, then black can make a living shape here. So for instance, this one. In this case, black has an eye, and if white plays here and black plays here, black has an eye on the other side. So those 2 points would be miai, and black would be alive. So white's taking away that eye, threatening to cut, and black pushed through here. So this was a mistake. It was probably where white gave away his lead. If white had played here, it would have been better. So let's first look at the game variation. In this variation, this became a forcing move, threatening f8. And black surrounded the white group in the center. So this white group that I've marked, it's surrounded from outside. It means that white had to back off here. So if white had tried to cut here, okay. So in this variation, if we just look at white playing here and black playing here, black's going to win this race to capture. So on this side, white can actually get out, but then black still confines it. So just locally, if white pushes through here, black has a forcing move here, and this would cut white off. So it can't really escape out. White has gained some liberties. So if white plays here, say something like this happens, white has 1, 2, 3, 4 extra. So white could actually capture these black stones, but black would be getting something on the top side. And this is good enough for black. Black has gained, actually the capture of these 2 stones was pretty big. And black didn't play any painful moves towards the bottom side. So like cutting here and just taking that one eye, moves like this, playing a lot of moves crunched up like that would have been painful. So he got away without playing those moves and instead took these 2 white stones, which was big. and he's going to get some territory on the top side. So that's going to add up to a win for black. Back to the game. Okay, so white had to back off. And the problem here is that this group that white has on the top side is not very strong. Okay, so here white has a weakness with a bad connection between these in this area. So it's not really connected. He's trying to work that out. So that's what he's doing with the cut here. And he gave up some territory towards the top side. So black's got some extra territory here. But white did improve the connection. So it's better than it was. And white pulls back. So at this point, there's still a slight weakness with white's connection here. And the entire group is not stable. And black also has a weakness here. The entire black group, black can get one eye with sente if black cuts here. But there's no second eye for the time being. Okay, so it's said that this move was he beat the computer, as they sometimes say. It means that the computer analysis that was going following the game did not predict this move. And it's something that happens in positions like this where a lot of calculation is involved. And the best move is sometimes an empty triangle, like this move. Bad shape and very effective. So what's happening here is that he's threatening to cut at this point. So the stone at E13 is needed to make this cut work. And when black does cut there, it becomes a race to capture between the black group and the white group on the top side. And if white curls here, black has 4 liberties, and white loses because white has only 3. If white plays on this side, now this is threatening white's group on the left side. And if white answers that, this white group, just to simplify, let's add 2 stones. It's 5 liberties, and black has 7 liberties. So this is a big win for black. This would be more complicated, but the white group on the left is going to die. And it's these 2 marked groups that are sort of in a semi with each other, but black's going to win the semi. And it's going to be this ko here. Black has some ko threats. I guess black's good. So this was a variation. Obviously, the territory is a big win for black. Black's captured the left side. So all black has to do is play ko threats that will make a life for the black group. So this was the move that the computer did not foresee, and white could not play the bamboo joint. So if he had omitted this move and just simply played some kind of a connection, then white would have been able to establish the connection here. So now this is connected. Black has no way of cutting it off. So it's connected now. So he could have established the connection with white 4. Whereas when black plays this move first, white was forced to fill a liberty. So when white fills a liberty, he is connected. So in this case, white would win the race to capture. So black has only 3 liberties now. So that's how connecting here was working for white. But the fact that he had to connect here instead of playing a bamboo joint, it made a big difference when black played here. So now if white answers like this, black is threatening the cut here. And so the position of this stone not being at the bamboo joint, it makes a difference when we get into this variation. So it's a bit complicated here, but it's amazing. So I want to show it to you anyway. So in this case, this would be a bad connection for white if white played here. It's just white has a bad connection. And with the forcing move at, for instance, C7, it's going to be very difficult for white to save this group on the top side. So this is going to be okay for black. And white's best move is to cut here. White can actually take away black's eye space. So black has eye was sent down the bottom side. If white were to let black play here, black would be able to make an eye on the left side too. So white has to take away black's eye, and the black group is locally, it looks like it's dead. So the question is the two eyes for white's group. White has a forcing move at a9. So if black plays here, white can make a second eye here. If black plays something like this, then white can make an eye here. So this would be a crash for black. It would be a ko if black plays here. There would be this ko. White would have local ko threats. This is, maybe it's going to be okay for black, but it would be a ko. So we're going to look at the variation where black gets away without a ko, is this move. So this is a unusual tetsuji. It's an unusual move. If white answers it here, it's a dead shape without the ko. So obviously this is better for black. And if white answers here, this move makes the second eye. So very unusual, but an effective move at 18. So I liked that. I found it very exciting. So the bottom line is that white had no way to kill the black group after black found this move. Unfortunately, well, I was in a game myself, so unfortunately I couldn't be watching this in real time. By the time I saw it, the computer had caught up to the reading, and it was showing this move. So maybe it was just temporary. So when black plays here, white didn't have time to save the two stones. And he gives up the idea of killing the black group at this point. So the meaning of this move, the effect of the way white played here is that he's stopping black from cutting here yet, because white can cut here. But the moment black plays this move, black was threatening to cut. So now white had to back off, and black has a living shape. So this was a success. So black managed to live. He got some territory here, and so he was taking profit on that side, while white took some profit here. So black didn't really give up anything, and he lived with territory in the center of the board. So it should be a win for black. Let's just take a quick look at the endgame. Yeah, so white's playing a relatively complicated endgame where maybe the lower left corner was slightly bigger, but the upper left corner is big too. So it's hard to calculate. And this variation involves the ko there. It's more complicated. Probably a valid way for white to play, actually. And so there's all these kos happening. Ah, yes. So this shape here, it's a classical tetsuji problem. So the question is, what if black plays here? So there's actually a way for white to attack this black territory, the black shape on the right side. There's a great move. But it's not original. It's been around for a long time. So those of you who want to figure it out for yourselves can stop the video and think about it until you find the answer. I'll just show it now. So this is the tetsuji. And white is threatening to play an Atari at t8. So if black plays something like this, for instance, I guess this would be the optimal order of moves, something like this, and it's a crash for black. If black connects, it doesn't really matter how white does that. If black plays some other move, maybe the most interesting variation is black playing here. And again, it's the thing that white does is that white can play here, and black won't have time to connect everything. And finally this move, where white is filling black's liberties without filling his own. So the neat thing about this is that if white plays here, then white would be running out of liberties. But the fact that he can fill black's liberties and take advantage of this weakness before white runs out of liberties is the thing that makes this an attractive problem. Okay, back to the game. So black backed off from that. And black was winning by, in the Ing Cup rules, by 3 points. In the Japanese rules, in the language of the Japanese rules, we would call that 2.5 points. So we would say that black is ahead by 10 points on the board. And after a 7.5 point komi, that would be 2.5 point win for black. It's the same thing as the 3 point win for black in the Ing rules. However, at some point in this ko, it seems that Ichiriki used an extra time period. I don't know if Xie Ke used any extra time, but the bottom line is that Ichiriki was using one time period more than Xie Ke, and he had to pay 2 points for that. And so instead of winning by 3 points, he won by 1 point, which would be, in the language of Japanese rules, it was a half point. So that final ko is pretty significant, and black filled the final liberty. Okay, so that was the first game of the 5-game match, and Ichiriki won by half a point. And they're going to play another game pretty soon. And then there's going to be, they haven't scheduled the last 3 games of the 5-game match. So that'll be probably later this year. So thank you for watching to the end. See you next time.